So your elbows are jacked and tight from jiu-jitsu. Here's how to fix it. This video has been broken up into two sections. The first section is going to address upstream and downstream of your elbow, utilizing different mobility gear. And the second section is completely gear-free. So if you don't have any of these things, even as simple as a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, or a golf ball, then you can feel free to skip straight to the gear-free section. This video was inspired by one of my subscribers who is a 50-year-old guy who's become disheartened with training jiu-jitsu because of constant elbow pain and shoulder pain. In this video, we're specifically targeting the elbow though, so if shoulder mobility is something that interests you, that video is coming soon. Feel free to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when that video is released. We have to understand a little bit about the theory behind why we're working on our forearms and our triceps when the issue is in our elbows. Well, the reason is this is known as upstream and downstream mobility work. The point of concern is our elbow, but that elbow is affected by all the musculature of our forearm and all the musculature of our upper arm and even shoulder, but specifically, we're gonna be concerned with releasing our triceps here because they create the most tension on our elbow. And the way we're gonna do this is working some soft tissue work with implements like the peanut. If you've never seen this bad boy before, it is known as a peanut. It's effectively just two tennis balls strapped together, and you can make your own version of the peanut with just that, two tennis balls taped together. The first exercise that we're going to be doing is going to work the triceps and is aptly named the Triceps Smash. Place the peanut, but if you don't have a peanut, you can use a roller for this, or you can even use a golf ball or any other type of mobility ball that you may have at home. Put it just above your elbow here, and if you're working with a peanut, obviously you're going to have your elbow in between the grooves of the peanut. And what we're effectively doing is rolling back and forth on our elbow to create some soft tissue work across the muscle. We don't want to roll up and down. This is a common mistake and is not as effective as working back and forth in this motion. I'm supporting my arm with my hand on my biceps here. And then we're going to extend and flex our arm, moving it around, freestyle it. There's no right or wrong way to do this, so long as you're not getting any nerve pain or any stinging pain happening. Feel free to just freestyle your way around. So what we're looking for is any tightness in our triceps here. If we find a spot that's particularly tight, feel free to stay on that spot for a second and then implement what's known as a contract relax cycle. So we're going to flex and contract our muscle for 4 seconds while breathing in, and then relax the muscle while breathing out for 8 seconds. Awesome. It may take a couple of contract relax cycles to release a particularly nasty knot out of your triceps. So feel free to implement a few of those on the same spot. You don't need to rush this. Just chill out on your triceps here. Now I'm gonna swap to a rumble roller, or a foam roller rather. I recommend a brand called Rumble Roller. It has this spiky texture to it. It's a lot more effective in my opinion, but it is that little bit nastier on your muscles, but that's what we're after. So just to show you how it's done, I can work the same technique on the roller. Cool. Now what we're gonna do is effectively, you're going to work all the way up your triceps, starting from your elbow, work all the way up almost to your armpit, and that is the Triceps Smash. The second mobility technique we're doing is the Forearm Smash. It's very similar to the Triceps Smash, except this time we're on our forearms. So you can either start this at your wrist or just below your elbow, and effectively we're going to do the same technique that we did for the Triceps Smash on our forearm and work the peanut all the way down. Again, you can use a mobility ball for this, or if you've got it, you can use a foam roller. You don't have to be on the peanut like I am. I just prefer the peanut for this specific use. So I'm gonna place the peanut just below my elbow, and I'm gonna do the same rolling back and forward technique. For this one though, we're not really gonna get a lot out of extending and flexing our elbow like this. So instead, we're going to open and close our hand and really rotate your wrist and forearm into the peanut here. And the same sort of technique we're going to implement with the contract relax cycles. If you find something that's particularly tight, feel free to groove out on that spot. Just really work it with your opening and closing of your fist. And if you need to, implement a contract relax. So again, a contract relax is simply squeezing for 4 seconds or contracting for 4 seconds and then breathing out and relaxing for 8. It may take a couple contract relax cycles to work out that spot. So we're gonna effectively work all the way down until you get down to your wrist. Now, when you do get down to your wrist, if you are on a peanut, feel free to come up onto your knees. You don't need to be on your stomach for this. You're going to use your other hand to drive into your forearm and really rotate, twist into the bottom part of your wrist here. And opening and closing your hand really does wonders when you're this close to your wrist. So the peanut is the most effective for this. But again, you can use a different implement. I'm gonna use a golf ball here just to show you how it's done. You can really drive into the point, and instead of like doing the side to side rotation like this in the peanut groove, you're just going to work the golf ball around till you find that ray, find that vector that's tight, and then implement your opening and closing of your wrist. You can do little side to side motions like this that I'm doing now. Okay, so the third and final exercise that we're going to do is called a tack and twist. I find that the best implement for this is a small mobility ball with a bit of texture like this one has. As you can see there, it's quite textured and is very effective for this. But again, even a golf ball works. You can use a peanut or any other smooth mobility ball. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab my textured ball here and work the underside of my forearm up near my elbow. So I'm going to push the ball into my elbow, tack in and twist. Create little twists both ways, go clockwise and anti-clockwise. Find what's tight, find the sore muscle tissue here and tack and twist into that muscle tissue. Don't push super hard if you can't handle it. This should not hurt. This should feel, if anything, like a satisfying deep itch. So don't go too crazy, don't go hurting yourself, and don't push into your underside of your elbow here. You can also work the front of your forearm. It's very effective as well. This is honestly one of my favorite mobility exercises to do on the forearms because it just feels really good. It feels satisfying as fuck. Okay, so what you can also do to level up this exercise is you can create a little sandwich in between the two different implements. If you have two mobility balls here, you can put your forearm down like this and have one ball on the bottom and the other one on top and create a little sandwich with your muscle as the meat in the middle and really just tack and twist into that mobility ball sandwich. This is really effective, and this technique actually works on your calves as well. That's where I prefer this technique to be implemented, but it's very effective on your forearms. With a tack and twist, you want to do that for about 3 minutes each side, or as you see fit. There's no hard and fast rule. Even a minute of work will do you wonders. All right, so this is the gear-free section. If you skip to this section because you don't have any mobility gear and elbows are an issue for you from jiu-jitsu, I highly recommend getting your hands on either some tennis balls, a golf ball, anything like that will do you absolute wonders. But if you want some immediate relief and you don't have anything at all at home yet, this is what you can do, completely gear-free. Okay, so the first exercise we're going to do was inspired by Bulletproof for BJJ, and it's called the trapped fist. So what you want to do is create a fist with your hand, place it on the floor. With your other hand in a C grip, you want to push your hand into your wrist here and create a trapped fist. Then we're going to simply extend our elbow and create some extension through our elbow and twist our elbow pit forward as it's twisting it toward you, toward the camera here. And then we simply release that rotational tension. We're going to do that for 10 reps each side and hold the last rep for 10 seconds. You don't want to go crazy with your pressure on your other hand down on your wrist, just enough so that you can create a fulcrum and you can pivot your elbow, or pivot your forearm, I should say, off of your wrist. So you should feel this through your elbow pit, your forearm, your wrist, and your biceps, and even a bit in triceps as well. This is an excellent mobility routine to help with those jacked elbows from jiu-jitsu. So the last rep we're gonna hold for 10 seconds. And then we simply swap sides and do the trapped fist on our left side here. You can do about 3 sets of those 10 reps, holding the last rep for 10 seconds on both your left and right hands. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is known as informed freestyling. I got this technique from Starrett, the author of Becoming a Supple Leopard. So let's check it out. Now this specific technique actually works better with either a voodoo floss or a band around your wrist or even up on your elbow. I'll put some images up on the screen now so you can see what I'm talking about. However, if you don't have any of that, you don't really need it. This is still effective. So with the informed freestyling, you can have your hand either facing away from you rather. It can be at a 90 degree to the left, or it can be all the way back around. And we're gonna move our hand position throughout. That's perfectly fine. And you can even go up on your hand like this. So similar technique to the trap fist, we're gonna create a C grip and push it into our wrist here, just to create a fulcrum that we can pivot off. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm extending my arm and moving it through different rays and different vectors, pivoting off my wrist here, making sure I'm firm with my other hand, holding my wrist down in place, and I'm just moving it around and finding what's tight, finding what feels good. If it feels good, keep doing it. It's a reason that it feels good for your body. And then you know it's time to move on when it stops feeling good. Okay, feel free to, the same like with the trapped fist, open your elbow and lock it up again. Move your elbow pit forward, move around. Don't go too crazy with the pressure, but let your body guide you into where it needs the most attention. Okay, so then I'm gonna rotate it all the way back around. Let's create some rotation here. And find different rays, different vectors that it's tight, and work in those positions. And you can even come up on the other side of your hand and do the same thing here. Okay, so you can work that in for about a minute or two both sides. If you're feeling up to it and it feels really good, do it for longer. And if you have particularly jacked elbows, I recommend doing around 2 to 3 minutes each side. The last exercise we're doing is known as the palm stretch. Again, this comes from Bulletproof for BJJ. So the palm stretch, as the name implies, we're gonna stretch up the palm, but also up the forearm as well. This is actually a little bit of a more uncomfortable stretch. So if you're new to this movement, don't go too hard, too early, because you might strain yourself. However, let's get straight into it. So what we're gonna do is face our palms away from us with bent elbows here. Up on your knees like I am, and push your fingers into the mat by simply leaning forward and putting downward pressure through your forearms. You should feel this stretch up through your palms and on the underside of your forearms as well. Now this is a static stretch, so we don't want to do any bouncing or any moving around. We're simply going to hold this static position for about anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds if you're feeling up to it. And when you get a little bit more comfortable with this stretch, you can go in a bit deeper or you can hold for longer, completely up to you. Whilst you're holding this static stretch, keep your breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth or your nose. So those are 6 exercises that you can start implementing either if you have mobility gear or if you're out and about and you don't have your mobility gear at hand. It is important to remember that both routines target downstream and upstream of the joint in question, that is the elbow. It's really important to consider why your elbow is tight, and the answer generally relies on something downstream or upstream of the joint or even the sore muscle group. If you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, please feel free to leave a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel. New videos just like this every week. Thanks for watching.